Hi guys, gals, it's Alex Davidson with you again today. Let us talk a little bit about Quebec, because we don't have videos on Quebec yet, and lots of people are asking why we're ignoring the province. With all my love and respect to those, let us just briefly touch the base upon their program's approach to immigration and how it works in Quebec. As a province, Quebec is different from the rest of Canada simply because they're trying to be as independent as possible. Well, obviously they got slightly different culture, slightly in fact. They got a different language, even though most of Canadians would be able to communicate with on that with more or less good extent, but still, one of the differences of Quebec from other provinces is that Quebec has the right to select their own immigrants. Okay, they are able to choose their own immigrants. What it exactly means is that if you are planning to immigrate to Quebec, you cannot apply to express entry. You cannot apply to federal authorities. You cannot apply to any other province. You have to apply and go through Quebec immigration system. Okay. Now, what it means in practice is that if you're planning to settle in Quebec, and say, let's put it this way: if you have if you're planning to, say, for example, settle somewhere in Quebec City, and you have applied in 2014 and you were rejected or you were refused or something wrong happened, it would be tremendously difficult for you now to apply to federal authorities, say for example to Manitoba or to Saskatchewan or to Alberta, even though your occupation is in demand there, even though you got enough score. It would be extremely difficult for you to convince immigration officers that now you have changed your mind and you are looking to live in another province. Why? You would probably be refused, or you'd better have perfect, excellent explanation why that happened. So in case of Quebec, you never have that second chance. It doesn't mean that you cannot reapply. Yes, you could reapply, but this still has to be Quebec. You cannot reapply to another province unless you got a perfect explanation why. Now, when it comes to Quebec immigration system, it's complicated. I was just trying to find the right word, and I would say complicated. I don't want to say it's a complete mess up. It's almost complete. You know, like a toddler, right? Like what messes up in his or her room. That's exactly my understanding of Quebec immigration system. It's always a mess. Their forms are hideous. You could have that space to provide your phone number and that space to provide your address. Their immigration officers are, I don't want to say crazy, but you know what, guys, if you're looking at me, yes, you are crazy in a sense, okay? I will just give you a couple of examples from my own practice. Now, example number one, a person has been refused on Quebec self-employed immigration because 7.5 years ago, he's been working as an employee. So 7.5 years ago, this gentleman has been working as an employee in a company. Afterwards, for continuously 7.5 years, he's been self-employed. And he has been refused because his officer said, you know what, you're not self-employed. Seriously? And no, it didn't work. I mean, all the persuasion, all the common sense, it just did not work with Quebec. I mean, common sense and Quebec immigration, they usually do not go well with each other. Now, another example is investor case. Quebec investor, the person with a couple million of dollars, and his case has been quietly closed. By quietly closed, I mean Quebec has just closed the case and hasn't informed anyone, us or the person himself. No, nothing. I mean, why would we inform anybody, right? We just quietly closed the case without any reason. It's just been closed. And we found out about that 2 years after. 2 years after, because Quebec processing times are quite long, and there were no indication that something's wrong going on. There were no indication that we have to request additional information or follow up on the case, simply because there is no reason for that, right? I mean, no communication from Quebec side. The case has been accepted. It's in process, and typical processing time was about 3-4 years. So we were quite content with the situation. And then we were like, okay, what's going on with the case? Well, it was closed 2 years ago. Have you informed anyone? Have you asked for additional information? No. In this circumstance, we actually managed to return that case and get a successful result, but that was extremely difficult. It was like as if we are asking for something outstanding. That was the attitude. Now, many of you know what happened with Quebec Provincial, Quebec Professional Program when they introduced their own express entry system this year. Which turned out to be like mouse clicking and just chasing each other, like which number which you would get. And 8:30 in the morning they open their program, it closes in a couple hours afterwards. They promised to select best of the best. In fact, they were just selecting those who were lucky enough. Absolutely random system. Quebec actually dared to accuse applicants themselves, so it was your fault as applicants that their IT system was crashed a couple of times, right? So you shouldn't apply, right? Because I mean, it's your fault that you're crashing our precious Quebec system. So guys, with all due respect to Quebec, and I really love them, I really do love Quebec cheese, wine, and I obviously love people in there, but your immigration authorities, they're absolutely nuts. Now, if you're looking to immigrate, Quebec is not the only choice. They might have a program suitable for you, so feel free to do that. But typically, if you ask me to choose between federal program and Quebec, I would probably say federal program, simply because you would have plan A, B, C, D in case if something goes wrong. In Quebec, well, it's plan A, and not always it will work. Well, stay tuned with us. If you got any questions, as usual, our contacts at the end of the video.